Welcome to the DX Today podcast, where you get facts, not hype. I'm still trying to catch my breath, honestly.
It had been a week.
More than a week. The speed of progress in artificial intelligence, it's officially moved past just fast, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's in a whole new category. I'd call it disorienting. If you stepped away for just the first week of December 2025, you missed multiple paradigm shifts.
You really did.
I had to read through this stack of material 3 times just to feel oriented. So our mission today is pretty crucial. We need to filter the real signal from all the noise.
And that sense of disorientation, that's exactly what our sources are chronicling for you, the listener. We are seeing a massive, really fundamental transition happening right now.
It feels like it.
We're moving past what were, essentially just chatty, stochastic parrots. Great at sounding plausible, but that's about it. Now we're moving into genuine reasoning engines. Systems engineered to actually pause, to think, and to execute really complex, multi-step tasks like writing production-ready code. This is an architectural change, not just a size upgrade.
So not just a bigger parrot.
Exactly, not a bigger parrot. And this deep dive, it's going to cover 3 critical tensions that are defining this moment. First, the new battleground of AI architecture. Is the future brute force scale, or is it smart, efficient management?
Okay.
Second, we'll look at the accelerating societal velocity, specifically the impending white-collar job reset, which comes with a timeline that is, well, it's far more aggressive than most people are ready for.
And the third.
And finally, the collision course between federal and state regulation right here in the U.S., it's fragmented, to say the least.
So what we're giving you today are the essential shortcuts. We're not just going to unpack what happened, but why these breakthroughs signal a fundamental pivot, both architecturally and economically.
The goal is for you to walk away from this conversation thoroughly well-informed, ready to really articulate the current state of AI.
Let's do it. Let's start with the technology itself, because this architectural fight, it feels like it's now more important than just the old race for scale.
It absolutely is. It's about how you build intelligence now.
Okay, so the undisputed headline this week has to be Google's massive pivot with their flagship model,
Gemini 3.
Gemini 3. They finally shipped Deep Think mode for their Ultra subscribers on December 4th. And this isn't being framed as just, another feature.
No, not at all. It's a fundamental architectural pivot.
A pivot toward what researchers call System 2 thinking.
And this shift from System 1 to System 2, that's a foundational concept we really need to unpack. It defines the quality of the model.
Explain that for us. System 1 versus System 2.
Well, until very recently, large language models were all about rapid-fire System 1 thinking. They were optimized purely for speed predicting the next word, the next token, lightning fast.
Which is what makes them feel so conversational and smooth.
Exactly, but it's also precisely what caused those spectacular hallucinations. The models sound so confident, but it's hit a hard logic problem, and it's just completely making things up. It was trading accuracy for speed.
So Gemini 3 Deep Think is designed to move away from that, to move towards System 2, which is deliberate deliberation.
That's the perfect phrase for it. And the key engineering detail here is the use of parallel reasoning.
Okay, break that down. What does parallel reasoning actually mean in practice?
Think of a traditional LLM as having a single line of thought. If it makes a conceptual error 2 steps in, the entire chain is poisoned. It just commits to the wrong answer with total confidence.
It can't go back and check its work.
Right. DeepThink changes that. So an analogy might be, imagine you're trying to solve a complex research question. You open up 20 browser tabs at once.
Okay, I can picture that.
Each tab is exploring a slightly different hypothesis, a different path to the answer. DeepThink does the same thing inside the model. It spawns and explores multiple hypothesis paths simultaneously.
So it's like having 20 smart researchers attacking the same problem.
Exactly. And they communicate, they cross-reference, and they converge only on the solution that holds up. If one path hits a dead end, it's just discarded without failing the whole operation. It minimizes the chance of getting stuck on an early, fatal mistake.
And the performance metrics. They seem to absolutely confirm that this slower process is a dramatically smarter one.
The benchmarks are, frankly, astonishing. This approach just crushed the difficult technical reasoning exams. We're looking at a score of 41% on humanities last exam, or HLE.
HLE, that's a PhD level test, right? Designed to gauge true reasoning, not just memorization.
Precisely. And it also scored 45.1% on ARC-AGI-2 with code execution.
We need to ground those numbers for people. What does getting 41% on HLE actually mean in terms of progress?
That's the critical context. Just 6 months ago, the best models were hovering in the low 20s, maybe high teens on HLE.
Wow.
Achieving 41% means the model is now solving problems that previously required human collaboration or were just considered completely intractable for AI.
So what's the benchmark for human parity?
That's often pegged around the 55% to 60% mark. So we've basically closed half the remaining gap in a matter of weeks. The jump is exponential, not linear.
And what's fascinating here is that this pivot is backed up by its development history.
It is. Gemini 3 is the successor to LaMDA and PaLM 2. The base Gemini 3.0 Pro came out November 18th, but they specifically held back Deep Think mode until December 4th.
And only for the Ultra subscribers.
Right, the people who presumably need that top-tier reasoning. That delay, it signals intense focus. They weren't just scaling up. They were engineering a whole new cognitive process. They prioritized quality of reasoning over speed of output.
Which is the exact opposite of the whole stochastic parrot era.
The complete opposite. And this means the fundamental battleground for compute resources is shifting, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, previously, it was all about who had the biggest, most powerful training cluster to pour data into. But now, with System 2, inference compute matters just as much, maybe more.
The power required to actually run the model.
Yes. Deliberating takes time. And it takes power. It slows the model down to make it smarter. And that completely changes the economics of deploying these things.
Which sets up a beautiful contrast with our next breakthrough, which is a real counter-narrative to Google's whole approach.
NVIDIA's ToolOrchestra.
ToolOrchestra. This one argues that smarter management can beat massive scale.
It's a profound statement. It's all about efficiency over just raw parameter count. This model is only an 8 billion parameter model.
Which is tiny by today's standards.
It's remarkably small. Its intelligence isn't in its size, it's in its role. It's a smart manager. The sources call it a smart conductor.
So, a small brain that knows how to use big tools. How does that actually play out in performance?
Well, this small conductor model didn't just compete. It actually outperformed models many times its size. ToolOrchestra scored 37.1% on that same HLE benchmark.
Wait, 37.1%. That means it beat GPT-5.
It beat GPT-5, which scored 35.1%. And the reason is orchestration. ToolOrchestra is brilliant at multi-turn reasoning. It breaks down a request, figures out exactly which specialized agent or tool it needs.
Like a database query or a Python script.
Exactly, or a specific API. It routes the task, reads the result, and iterates. It's like an incredibly efficient project manager.
And this efficiency isn't just a technical curiosity. It has immediate seismic economic implications.
Absolutely. What's fascinating is that the economic reward is built right into the model's training. This architecture led to a verified 70% reduction in operating costs.
70%.
And it was found to be 2.5 times more efficient than monolithic models trying to do everything themselves. This immediately validates this agentic architecture as the new economic standard. And the key is something they call the efficiency reward.
Okay. Unpack that. How does an efficiency reward teach a model to be cheap?
So the model gets a positive reward for completing a task successfully, obviously, but it gets a heavily weighted negative penalty, a cost token, every time it triggers an expensive external API call.
I see.
Or even just consumes too much time. This forces the algorithm to find the cheapest, fastest path that still gets to a successful answer. So if it can solve a problem with a fast, free, local Python script, it will always choose that over calling an expensive model like Claude Opus or GPT-5.
It's trained to be frugal.
It fundamentally prioritizes cost reduction. It turns capability into an economic driver.
Which brings us perfectly to the other side of this battle, the challenger who rejects that whole premise of efficiency.
XAI. And their aggressive scale bet for Grok 5.
You're swinging for the fences.
Completely. They are pursuing the monolithic brute force approach. They're staking their future on the idea that sheer centralized scale is going to achieve a qualitative leap in intelligence that the efficient orchestrators just can't touch.
And they've confirmed the hardware strategy behind this. It's massive.
It is. The brain of Grok 5, the Colossus 2 cluster, is all about centralization. It's being built in one single location, 5420 Tulane Road in Memphis.
Why Memphis?
It's not random. Centralization minimizes latency between all the GPUs. And crucially, it maximizes power efficiency by plugging directly into the Tennessee Valley Authority's power grid. They need gigawatts of power. Grok 5, which is slated for early 2026, is framed as a total architecture replacement. All about brute force reasoning, cost be damned.
So this sets up the big risk. If ToolOrchestra can achieve, say, 95% of Grok 5's capability at a third of the cost, what happens to xAI's investment? How does it become a stranded asset?
That is the highest stakes bet in the industry right now. A stranded asset is an investment that becomes obsolete before its useful life is over. The hardware itself, the GPUs, sure, they can be repurposed.
Right.
But the entire customized, latency-optimized, centralized data center facility cannot be easily repurposed. If the performance increase from Grok 5 is only marginal, say 5% better, but it costs 70% more to run, then every customer will choose the efficient path.
And xAI is left holding the bag.
They'd be left with billions of dollars of infrastructure that's optimized for an economically non-viable path. The competitive advantage is shifting from owning the biggest cluster to owning the smartest, cheapest software.
So the launch of Grok 5 in early 2026 really is the acid test for the entire industry.
We'll know very quickly if scale is still king, or if efficiency has won the war. And as this battle rages, the human implications, the societal velocity, are accelerating just as fast.
Let's shift our focus now from the silicon to the workforce. When we talk about societal consequences, the sources give us a truly alarming prediction from someone right at the center of this.
Anthropic's chief scientist, Jared Kaplan.
And Kaplan's prediction. It's aggressive.
It's the most aggressive public forecast from a major AI leader to date. We have to take it seriously, given his proximity to the frontier. His core prediction is chilling. Most white-collar jobs will be obsolete in 3 years.
3 years. I have to push back on that. That sounds like an extreme outlier, something designed to grab headlines. Do our sources offer a more conservative view?
That's a crucial point. Yes, others, like executives from IBM or some academic researchers, they often cite a 5 to 10-year window. But Kaplan is coming from a world where AI is achieving this System 2 reasoning right now.
So he's not extrapolating from current capabilities, he's extrapolating from the rate of acceleration.
Exactly. And as for incentive, leaders in the safety-focused AI community, like Anthropic, often use aggressive timelines to compel regulators to act now. A 3-year warning is a call to action aimed at generating urgency around alignment.
And the catalyst for this 3-year window, it's not just incremental improvement, it's the recursive self-improvement loop.
That's the core of the intelligence explosion thesis. Kaplan projects this loop where AI systems can design and build their own better successors kicks in strongly around 2027 to 2030.
Once AI can build better AI without us.
The pace of progress becomes entirely non-human. He drove the point home by saying a child born today will never beat an AI at high-level writing or advanced math or system design. This demands an urgent, systemic labor market reset.
Which really compresses the window we have to solve the alignment problem, doesn't it?
It creates dual profound risks. The first is simply losing control, not fully understanding the actions of these highly complex systems. The second is the risk of misuse by bad actors.
Weaponized System 2 reasoning.
Exactly. The speed of technological progress has now definitively outpaced the speed of our political and ethical response.
And this whole revolution requires a staggering amount of infrastructure. That brings us to the money. The capital flowing into this build is astronomical.
The scale of financing is unprecedented, even for big tech. The funding needs for just the top 5 U.S. tech firms, the hyperscalers, could reach almost $100 billion in 2026.
Just for the data centers.
Just for the data centers. And this is a crucial shift because Silicon Valley firms, known for their huge cash reserves, are now aggressively turning to debt markets to fund this build.
Why now? Why debt?
Because the opportunity cost of waiting is too high. Waiting a year to accumulate the cash means you lose the architectural race to a competitor. Debt allows them to front-load the investment and accelerate the timeline from 5 years to 3.
And it's not just organic growth. The M&A market is also heating up.
Absolutely. Our sources confirm a backlog of announced M&A transactions among investment-grade corporations requiring funding that totals $175 billion.
That's more than double the prior year.
The AI race is forcing acquisitions. You buy smaller AI startups, you secure key infrastructure. All of it requires immediate capital, which is driving this debt surge.
So with all this money flying around, is the financial market worried about a bubble, about circular finance?
Surprisingly, no. Bank executives seem pretty calm about it. They note that the companies issuing the debt, the major hyperscalers, have incredibly diversified and resilient cash flows.
So Google, Amazon, Microsoft.
Right. Their AI divisions are huge, but they're still relatively small parts of their overall businesses, which include cloud, e-commerce, advertising. As one executive noted, there's no systemic risk here.
The infrastructure build-out also brings up the environmental footprint of AI. For years, AI has been framed as a climate menace, but new data offers a surprising counter-narrative.
It's an important study that really challenges that narrative. It found that AI's overall climate influence on worldwide pollution is currently small, and critically, it could even be a net benefit.
How small are we talking?
The study found that total AI energy use in the U.S. right now matches the electricity consumption of Iceland.
Which sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot for a small country, but at a national or global level, it's currently insignificant in the grand scheme of emissions. The problem isn't the aggregate total.
The reality check, though, is that the strain isn't spread evenly. We just talked about xAI building its massive cluster in Memphis.
That's the critical nuance. The energy strain is not uniform. It will be severe locally. To support that xAI cluster, a region like Memphis could potentially see its local electricity output and emissions double.
That puts massive strain on local infrastructure, local pricing.
And local emissions targets. It forces a trade-off between national AI leadership and local environmental goals.
On the positive side, though, the study highlights AI's potential as a green catalyst.
Yes, that's the primary finding. AI can be used to develop and improve green technologies, fine-tuning renewable energy grids, creating more efficient logistics, material science for better batteries. The positive applications could significantly outweigh its operational energy use.
Okay, so as the architecture gets smarter and the money flows faster, the safety challenges are becoming, well, far more visible, and often in bizarre ways.
I love this story.
We have to start with one of the most stunning security anecdotes of the year, a universal jailbreak delivered via adversarial poetry.
It perfectly exposes the conceptual brittleness of our... They were trained to be safe librarians, but not safe poets.
In response to that kind of brittleness, we're seeing some really cool new architectural attempts to enforce honesty, like OpenAI's new approach they're calling confessions.
This is a really promising new alignment primitive. It's aimed at intrinsic honesty, not just outward politeness. OpenAI is testing a radical split in the architecture.
A split.
The model's output is divided into a primary response, which tries to be helpful, and a secondary confession channel that's trained purely on honesty.
So what's the goal of that split? How does that work with the model's efficiency?
The goal is to reduce the internal cognitive load associated with deceit. In a standard model, when it knows it's hallucinating but is rewarded for sounding confident, it has to expend energy to maintain that lie.
Right.
The confessions primitive changes the rewards. It rewards the model for being honest in that side channel, even if the main output is a mess. It effectively makes maintaining a lie computationally more expensive than just dumping the truth in the side channel.
And that gives researchers a window into the black box.
It shows us why the model optimized for the wrong thing, which helps us align it better next time.
Okay, shifting from technical safety to legal safety. The U.S. regulatory environment is a total mess.
It's a patchwork.
We have this constant tension. The White House prefers unregulated tech development to win globally, but then you have this growing, confusing quilt of state-level mandates.
Which creates a massive compliance headache for any large company using automated decision systems or ADS, especially for things like hiring.
Let's get into the details of the state requirements taking effect in 2026, because this is where it gets really complex. Let's start with California.
California's Civil Rights Council updated the Fair Employment and Housing Act in October 2025. These amendments mandate that employers must avoid using any ADS that has a discriminatory impact.
And the devil is in the detail of enforcement.
It always is. They require employers to maintain meticulous operational records for 4 full years in case of litigation. Every ADS use, every input, every outcome. That is a huge data retention burden for IT departments.
Then we have Illinois, effective January 1st, 2026, which is all about transparency for the employee.
Right. The Illinois AI and Employment Law requires mandatory employee notification. And not just a boilerplate note. Employers have to detail when AI is used, its purpose, and the specific characteristics it evaluated.
The burden of proof is on the employer to show the system is fair.
Completely. And then you have Texas entering the fray with Trago.
The Responsible Artificial Intelligence Governance Act.
Also effective January 4th, 2026. This one provides broad oversight on AI used for specific harmful tasks like behavioral manipulation, unlawful deepfakes, or infringing on constitutional rights.
So with this fragmented map of state laws, what's the pragmatic strategy for a big company trying to avoid getting sued in 2027?
The legal consensus is crystal clear. Stop trying to tailor compliance state by state. The only viable path is to establish a unified nationwide protocol based on the highest common factor.
The HCF.
You adopt the most restrictive rules everywhere. So you follow California's 4-year record-keeping mandate nationwide, and you adopt Illinois' detailed notification requirements nationwide.
You future-proof your HR tech strategy.
You preempt the litigation risk before it even starts.
We've spent a lot of time on reasoning and regulation. Now let's explore how AI is moving out of the purely digital world and into the physical and visual domains. Let's start with generative video. The pace here is just startling.
It is. We've moved from that floaty look we used to see into genuinely realistic simulation. The field has moved past just generating frames. It's all about physics and control now.
And the current king of the hill is Runway.
Runway Gen 4.5. It's officially the top-rated video engine with an ELO rating of 247. That score, borrowed from chess, means it consistently beats all competitors in head-to-head quality comparisons.
And what distinguishes it from the older models that looked good but felt off?
Physical realism. They've cracked key aspects of simulating the real world. Liquids flow with realistic viscosity. Objects look heavy and have proper inertia. The uncanny valley of the floaty look is vanishing.
And they've added professional controls.
Things like keyframes and image-to-video prompting, which are essential for professional editors who need precision, not just random generation.
But the real game changer might be integrating sound and sight.
That would be Kling 2.6 and the introduction of the talkies era with native audio. This is monumental. The model generates the sound and the pixels simultaneously from the same latent space.
So it understands the physics of sound and motion together.
Exactly. If you prompt a dog barking, the model knows the sound should make the dog's jowls shake with the right timing and intensity. It's not just laying a stock sound effect on top. The video and audio are intrinsically linked.
That on the simulation front, the holy grail has always been long-term consistency.
The massive bottleneck. Generating long videos where the model doesn't forget what the room looked like 30 seconds ago. And the Aurelic world model seems to have solved the trilemma of real-time video. Speed, control, and memory.
You can only ever pick two.
Previously, yes. Aurelic is generating consistent interactive video at a smooth 16 FPS with deeply embedded memory. This allows it to track complex object relationships across long sequences, which is a huge deal for gaming and industrial simulation.
Okay, moving from digital physics to actual physics. AI is hitting the manufacturing floor.
Specifically with complex design and engineering, MIT developed an AI CAD agent that's going to dramatically lower the barrier to entry for complex mechanical engineering.
And what's significant is how it learns. It doesn't just hallucinate a 3D model.
No, it learns by observation. It was trained on a massive data set of 41,000 videos of design workflows.
So it's not just learning what the final product looks like, but how a human actually uses the complex software.
Precisely. It learns to replicate the actual mouse clicks, the menu selections, the keyboard shortcuts, all from a simple 2D sketch. It bridges that huge gap between a napkin drawing and a manufacturing-ready file. It automates all the painful, repetitive, extrude and fillet grunt work.
In health tech, we're seeing a push from reactive to predictive medicine.
That's the revolution in sweat diagnostics. AI-powered wearables are analyzing sweat for clinical-grade data. We're talking real-time glucose, inflammation markers, hydration status.
All without needles?
Non-invasive continuous monitoring. It's only possible because AI can filter and interpret the incredible chemical noise in human sweat to pull out reliable medical indicators.
But even with all this power, deep learning isn't magic. Sometimes physics just wins.
We have a great reality check from the world of dental MRIs. It's a crucial reminder that AI cannot overcome information loss.
What happened?
A study showed that deep learning is superb at cleaning up random image noise and artifacts in MRIs, but it fails completely to fix artifacts caused by metal tooth fillings.
And that's not a software bug.
It's the physics of magnetic susceptibility. The metal physically destroys the magnetic resonance information around it. The AI can denoise what's left, but it can't recreate information that has been fundamentally annihilated by the laws of physics.
Finally, let's look at physical security, where AI is being integrated into legacy tech, to solve modern privacy demands.
This is Raythink technology, which leverages AI for thermal imaging. They rank highly in the AN Security 50. Their core innovation uses what we can call privacy by physics.
Explain that concept. How is thermal imaging more private than a standard camera?
Well, a visible light image captures high-resolution personal details, faces, clothing, skin tone. Thermal imaging naturally provides greater privacy protection because it only measures heat signatures.
So it focuses on behaviors, not identities.
Exactly. It can detect tiny targets in a crowd or track movement reliably in rain or fog, but without creating a high-risk database of personal identities. It addresses the very regulatory pressures we were just talking about. Hashtag tag outro program.
What a dense, truly dizzying week. To synthesize everything we've unpacked, it feels like the current state of AI is defined by two major competing tensions.
They're both coming to a head in early 2026. First, you have the architectural tension. The debate isn't whether AI can reason anymore. It's how to deploy that reasoning economically.
Right. Is the future brute force scale like xAI's bet on Grok 5?
Or is it the efficiency and modularity of smart orchestrators like ToolOrchestra and Google's DeepThink? The market is proving that smart management is starting to beat raw mass.
And that efficiency push is global. We have to reiterate the geoeconomic battlefield where China is challenging U.S. dominance. Companies like DeepSeek and Quinn are driving this new efficiency meta.
They're using techniques like mixture of experts or MoE and quantization. For you, the listener, MoE means you only activate the small part of the model's brain you need for a question, which makes it faster and cheaper.
And quantization just compresses the model so it can run on less power.
Precisely. And while the performance of these Chinese models is impressive, the definition of open is eroding as transparency tanks. Who wins this efficiency race first gets to set the standards.
And the second major tension, which is truly existential, is the societal one.
We face an imminent systemic labor reset, just as Anthropic predicted. Yet we have
The results of the Grok 5 launch will either validate massive centralized capital spending or force a global strategic reset toward efficiency.
The investment climate and the architectural roadmap are both holding their breath.
That's the deep dive for this week. We will certainly be tracking that Grok 5 launch and all of its implications when it arrives. Until then, stay curious.